Mira stood on the balcony of her crystalline palace as the twin suns of her world dipped toward the horizon. The sky glowed in shades of silver and violet, and beneath her, the capital city shimmered with towers shaped like rising flames. As the queen of her realm, she carried the weight of thousands of lives on her shoulders. Her people valued strength above all else, and for generations they had shaped their culture around honor, discipline, and physical might. So when she chose a mate from a distant world called Earth, her council had whispered. They believed humans were too soft, too breakable, too gentle to stand beside the queen of a warrior civilization. Myra ignored them. Something about Aaron had drawn her in since the moment she met him during a diplomatic mission. He had a quiet focus and a steady calm in his eyes that made her believe he would not shatter under pressure. Still, she accepted he was physically fragile. His body lacked the armored plates her people carried from birth. His skin bruised easily. His bones needed more care. She told herself that she would protect him, shield him, guide him through the trials of her world. She did not expect him to defend her or their empire. She expected him simply to live and walk beside her as a symbol of unity. Aaron never complained. He learned her customs, studied her language, and walked through the palace halls without fear, even when towering warriors crossed his path. He bowed with respect to her counsel, listened to her advisors, and spent long nights at her side studying star maps and political tensions. Despite his lack of strength, he carried determination that could not be measured in muscle. Still, the council doubted. They did not hide their concerns. They reminded her daily that her mate lacked battle training and natural defenses. They argued that his weakness could become her weakness. Mira defended him with patience, but even she sometimes wondered if she had made life harder for him by bringing him here. That thought weighed on her mind now as she waited for him to join her on the balcony. A soft sound came from the archway behind her, and Aaron stepped out. He wore simple clothing from Earth that seemed oddly delicate next to her ceremonial armor. He had a gentle expression that always made her feel calmer. He approached her quietly. Mira watched him as he leaned on the balcony railing. The breeze brushed his hair. His gaze took in the glowing city. She studied his profile, trying to understand the strange pull he had on her. Aaron broke the silence first. He spoke softly, as he always did. He asked if the council still questioned her choice. She admitted that they did. She told him it did not matter. But she also confessed that she sometimes feared. She had placed him in a world that expected more strength than he possessed. He smiled. It was a calm smile that made her heart tighten. He said he knew she worried. He said he understood. And he reminded her that he had come to her world by choice. He had not been forced or tricked or pushed. He wanted to be here because he believed in her and in the future they could build together. Myra reached for his hand. Her fingers were armored and sharp compared to his soft skin. She held him carefully. She promised that she would always protect him. Aaron looked at her with a strange seriousness. He asked her gently if she truly believed he needed protection. She hesitated. She had never wanted to insult him, but she had also never hidden the truth. She said that her world was harsh and filled with enemies. She said he was precious to her, and she did not want him harmed. She said she would not let him fight. She expected him to accept this, but Aaron surprised her. His eyes held no frustration and no anger, only a quiet resolve that she did not fully understand. He said there were things she did not know about him, things he had kept hidden because he did not want to frighten her or her people. He had hoped he would not need to reveal them. But he said the time was coming when he would have no choice. Mira felt a chill. She asked him what he meant. Before he could answer, the palace alarms echoed across the sky. The sound rumbled like a storm. The balcony lights flashed red. Warriors rushed through the corridors. The palace shields activated. Mira recognized the signal. It was not a drill dot. She and Aaron ran inside as the palace guards surrounded them. Her general delivered a report with a grim expression. A hostile fleet had appeared out of warp. Their ships were enormous, bristling with weapons designed to tear through planet shields. They demanded the queen surrender her throne. It was an invasion force of a scale her world had not faced in generations. Myra ordered the palace to move to battle readiness. She commanded her generals to defend the capital. She told them she would lead from the command hall. Aaron followed her through the glowing corridors, even as soldiers rushed past them. She told him to stay behind. She told him it was too dangerous. He shook his head and refused. She did not have time to argue. The command hall was filled with holograms of enemy ships moving toward the planet. The largest vessel was a dark spear of metal that dwarfed their cruisers. Its energy signature pulsed like a living creature. Her advisors whispered in fear. Mira clenched her fists. This enemy had chosen the worst moment to strike Dot as her warriors prepared for battle. Aaron stood beside her, watching the holograms with a strange intensity. She told him again to stay back. He did not move. Then the palace shook. The enemy fired a beam that smashed through the outer defense grid. The shields flickered. Myra's warriors shouted updates. The capital trembled. It became clear that the enemy had technology far beyond what they expected. Myra ordered her fleets to intercept. But her ships were already struggling. Reports came in that multiple defense stations had been destroyed in minutes. Enemy troops had landed near the outskirts of the city. The attackers were using weapons that shredded armor and shields alike. Myra felt a weight press on her chest. Her people were strong, but this foe was overwhelming. She tried to stay calm. She had faced war before. But this enemy seemed prepared for everything. Everything except what stood quietly at her side. Aaron stepped closer and spoke softly. He said it was time for him to help. Myra looked at him in confusion. Help how? He was human. He had no powers. He had no armor. He had no training. She said he would be killed if he entered the battlefield. Aaron shook his head. He raised his hand and placed it gently on her arm. He said he had not told her the full truth about himself. He said humans from Earth were not all the same. Some carried a legacy hidden from most worlds. A legacy born from experiments in evolution that had shaped certain lineages over centuries. His family carried fragments of a code that allowed them to endure where others could not. Mira stared at him, unsure whether to believe him. She asked him what that meant. Aaron did not answer with words. His body began to change. Light rose from beneath his skin. Not bright enough to burn, but strong enough to illuminate the command hall. The glow pulsed slowly, like a heart. Myra stepped back in shock as the light grew stronger. Aaron's body straightened. His eyes, once gentle and warm, now glowed with a deep silver shine that reflected every image around him. The air vibrated. The warriors in the hall froze and stared. Aaron's voice remained calm, but now it carried a resonance that felt ancient. He said that his ancestors had once been part of a project to create humans who could survive harsh worlds and defend against threats Earth had feared long ago. Most of those humans had been lost to time, but a few bloodlines survived, scattered and hidden. Aaron was one of them. He had always hidden it. His power was not something he used lightly. It was dangerous if unchecked. It changed how others viewed him, and he feared Myra would see him as something unnatural. So he lived as a normal human because he wanted to be judged by his choices, not his abilities. But now he said he could no longer stay hidden. The command hall shook again as enemy weapons hammered the city. Aaron looked toward the ceiling as if he could see the battle through the walls. His glowing eyes narrowed. He told Mira that he would protect her and her people. Not because he had to, but because he chose to. He leaned close and whispered that she had never needed to protect him. It had always been the other way around. Before she could respond, Aaron stepped away from her, and the air around him rippled as if space itself bent. His body lifted from the ground. Guards raised their weapons instinctively, but Mira shouted for them to stand down. She could not take her eyes off him. Aaron vanished. One moment he floated above the floor. The next he was gone in a burst of silver light. Alarms flickered, but no system could track him. Mira stared at the empty space where he had stood. A heartbeat later, the sky above the city ignited. Through the command hall windows, Mira saw a streak of silver shoot into the atmosphere like a comet. It slammed into the enemy fleet with force that bent the sky. One of the largest enemy ships split open in a flash of light. Another exploded into fragments. Aaron moved faster than any vessel could track. Every strike was precise and devastating. The holograms updated faster than the operators could speak. Mira watched in awe and disbelief. Her mate, whom she believed fragile, danced through the heavens with power greater than any warrior her world had ever known. The battle shifted instantly. Enemy ships that had seemed unstoppable now scrambled to defend themselves. Aaron tore through their shields, dismantled their weapons, and disabled their engines. He moved with grace that made the destruction almost unreal. He fought without hesitation, but also without cruelty.